All right, welcome to SVupod, especially heinous. I'm Gabe.
I'm Tasha.
We are on season 2, episode 16, Runaway.
Yeah.
I don't know, I was like waiting for you to respond for some reason.
I don't know. I was trying to think of a song by the Runaways, but I'm just not there right now.
The only one I can think of off the top of my head is the Cherry Bomb one.
Okay, then say it again.
Oh my God. Welcome to SVupod, especially heinous. I am Gabe. Why am I doing that part again?
Cherry Bomb. I don't know. Let's just move on.
Okay. Cherry Bomb.
I feel like if I try to mimic that voice, it just comes out really annoying where...
Cherry Bomb. Yeah.
Hello, Daddy.
Hello, Mom. So Cragen's being hurried through a building.
Stabler's with him, too.
Yeah, and they're getting the lowdown on the situation by some mustached cop. Sergeant Frank Foster of Brooklyn Narcotics' daughter, Jill, ran away, and he found her picture on this website, like this internet magazine. There's a guy that takes interviews and takes pics of street kids and posts them online, and Frank went to him, and the guy wouldn't tell him where his daughter was, so fucking Frank Foster has him as a hostage.
Yeah, like at his office or whatever.
Yeah, so there's like 4 people in there, I think, and like 2 are Frank's wife and son, Jill's mom and brother.
And like a bunch of cops hostage negotiating situation.
Yeah, so they get like around a corner where he is, and then they pull out the first fucking selfie stick that's ever been invented, which is just like this camera on a stick. Yeah, it's just like this like gray security camera on a fucking huge stick.
Like duct tape to a stick.
Yeah. So Sergeant Frank Foster knows Cragen. Cragen's like, hey, dude, chill out, you know, and he's like, oh my God, Cragen? Frank's like, I'm going to lower my gun and I'm coming out.
And then he's like, I'm not a threat. And he says it with the confidence of any mediocre white man.
I know. You have a gun and you have hostages. I mean, you're a threat.
Yeah. He walks up and they've got like a laser pointer on him, but it's supposed to be like a sniper's gun.
Yeah.
And he's just like standing there having a conversation. I'm like, to not be alarmed in that moment, to not be afraid, like what level of white privilege do you have that you're like, you're not going to shoot me?
What level of coptitude do you have to feel comfortable with the, like, fuck you? What?
Like, fuck you.
He's like, this is not over until I know where my daughter is. And Cragen like thinks for a second, do I shoot him? And then he has everybody lower their guns, which I thought was so weird. Mm-hmm. And then the dude goes back into the room with his gun.
Yeah, and walks over by the hostage at his computer. So this hostage is super annoyed and pissed. And I like how he just waited at his desk for the guy who had a gun to be done talking and come back. In the meantime, he was like, I gotta finish this article that I'm writing.
Right. I just gotta get this little
wrap up. Oh, they're coming back. Oh, well, hell, he still has his gun.
I guess I'm done with this game of Minesweeper anyways. Foster's wife is like, we want her back safe. They have their son in a hostage. Oh, just the whole thing was weird.
The way the mom prepped for this role, by the way, it's like she rolled down a fucking hill and just showed up. It was like autumn raking leaves. She rolled down a fucking hill, shook her hair out, and came to the set.
It was like, we want her safe. The computer guy is like, she told me she didn't feel safe at home. Do you want to see what she said? And then shows them the video of the interview, which I'm like, why didn't he do that
to begin with?
Yeah. So basically she's just saying teenage stuff. She's like, my mom won't let me wear purple lipstick. My dad's a cop. It's stupid. Yeah. And I was like,
she's like, it sucks at my house.
They won't let me do drugs. But then this guy comes up and his name is Kennick. Mm-hmm. He shows up in the video and he's like, you're pretty and blah, blah, blah. Come to this rave.
He greets the guy behind the camera who is the
computer guy.
The computer guy who's a hostage, and he calls him Tito. So this guy's name is Tito.
Yeah.
And Tito greets him, and this is the only time I've heard, like through the whole episode where someone calls him this. Kennick walks up, and Tito's like, hey, bump.
Hey, bump?
Bump. And Kennick's like, hey, Tito.
Oh.
Like, Coke bump?
That's what I was, yeah.
But nobody calls him that the rest of the episode. I was like geared up for fucking Benson to be like, well, we need to find Bump.
Has anybody seen Bump? I actually didn't catch that at all.
Because they're talking on the video the whole time the hostage situation of them talking is going on. So in the video, Kennick is, like you said, he's being really creepy. And then he's asking her if she wants to make money, get high, get down, come to this rave that I run and have sex for money on drugs.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
So Tito's like, yeah, this guy's like bad news and like runs raves. And he used to beat up sex workers. Tito doesn't know where she is, but he does know that she was hanging out with all these kids downtown.
I was studying the rest of the screen as we watched the black and white video taken with America's Funniest Home Videos camera.
Yeah, the one that rests on the shoulder.
Yes. And
Yeah.
his website's called Intergotham Online, and he was working on issue number 15, Rave World. And I was like, oh my God, this is the one where Benson goes undercover at a rave and she looks like Susie from Suburbia.
Oh my God. And she does, though.
I couldn't get enough of it. And I know
Yeah.
that we've referenced her in the past, but we are also dealing with the late 90s, early 2000s. So we're going to see it multiple times. But I mean, I can't wait till we get to the rave, you guys. I can't fucking wait.
So then Cragen's like, can I have your gun? Is it cool if I have your gun, buddy?
I didn't realize he still had his gun.
I know. He's like, yeah, you can have my gun, but like, you can't push this to missing persons because they didn't do anything. And then Cragen's like, what's the fucking alternatives? And they arrest him. He's like, hey buddy, you mind giving me your gun? If it's no trouble.
I was going to ask you earlier, but like felt weird about it. And
it's like, don't want this to affect our friendship.
Right, but it's like, you understand.
Okay, so theme song, Precinct. Cragen is told to have a seat in a room. He's being interviewed. Apparently the Foster investigation had some irregularities.
Yeah, we don't normally jump ahead in an episode, but I think it makes it less confusing if we all know right now that the entire episode, they're jumping back and forth from the story to these interviews with what I'm assuming is IAB.
Yeah.
Right? They're like getting spanked, and we're watching the story happen going, ooh, they're fucking up. And they're going to be in trouble for it.
So from the beginning.
Yeah.
Yes! Camera one. Camera
I like how
two.
we both did the finger things, and no one else is going to see it.
Cragen was the hostage negotiator on call that day for the boroughs or whatever, which I didn't know they did things like that.
Can't he just be the captain? Isn't that enough job?
Yeah. You'd think that they would have like professional hostage negotiators that just do that.
Again, this is a TV show, but he's the best.
Yeah. So him and that Foster dude know each other since the academy.
Sergeant Foster was Brooklyn Narcotics.
Yeah. And they're like, why didn't you fucking disarm him right away? Why'd you let him back into that room? And he was like, he wasn't a threat to anybody. Oh my God, he totally was. He had hostages. They're like, you broke all the hostage negotiation rules. And I was like, what are they? But I don't want to Google it because I got stuff to do. Cragen just didn't feel like he would hurt anybody. And I can totally see why these interviewers are fucking pissed.
I can see Cragen using his common sense because he knew him for so many years, but he shouldn't be using that in this situation. He should be using his training. Foster isn't going to be the guy you've known all these years in this moment. You know what I mean? He is acting outside of how he normally acts, so why wouldn't you take his fucking gun as is procedure?
Yeah. It's not like it's like, ugh, there's Foster. I've known him for 30 years. Every now and then he takes hostages. I know what he normally does. It's like, no, you don't know what he's going to do.
Right.
Yeah.
It's fine. He's done this before.
Yeah. Just ignore him.
He'll get tired and tucker himself out.
Yeah. Anywho, Cragen started an investigation on Sergeant Foster's daughter, Jill, because she was underage. Apparently, he was supposed to give it to missing persons, but he didn't. And he was like, she was in the company of a convicted sex offender, so he believed it was SVU turf. And, and she's a minor and stuff.
Yeah, and apparently he's a pimp, too.
Yeah. So he reached out to Vice, and they lent Jeffries to him. And I was like, ooh, Jeffries going to be in this.
So I have a couple things with that. One,
I know. I don't like him saying they lent Jeffries to him.
Oh, I don't like that. I'm talking, no, that's a whole other, okay, now I have three things. That's one. Two, I am so satisfied in knowing that she transferred to a different unit instead of straight up getting fired.
Yeah.
Because we were like, she lost her fucking job. No, she transferred. But like, her issue had nothing to do with the department. So her transferring shouldn't change. I don't know. Maybe it's like less stressful. So they're feeling like she can like mentally handle it or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, well, because she's in Vice now, and they're going to like, in case they have to do undercover stuff.
Yeah. So
which they ended up doing, but they have somebody from Vice, but didn't fucking run it by anybody. Ugh, whatever.
Then, for a minute, I was like, OMG, how did they get Michelle Hurd to come back for this episode? Mm-hmm. Because there was bad blood after her leaving. And it was like, it wasn't like a great parting of ways. Mm-hmm. But we find out, and I'll get there.
Oh, and then Cragen tells these guys, like, there was nothing normal about this case. It's a cop's daughter. What would you have done? And then I was like, hopefully treat them like any other missing kid.
Right. Okay, so we're in the squad room. They're looking over the video again, and they're talking about the dude they're looking for, Lance Canick. Tito has him as a promoter of Rain Lights Raves. In 87, he was running Ooh-Wee Escort Services.
Which I fucking love that name, but...
Ooh-Wee. They say it, and they just fucking move on. The name is Ooh-Wee. ooh-wee. That's fucking amazing. And they say it like it's a normal word. He was running ooh-wee escorts. We put the wee in ooh-wee escorts. Like, what is the tagline for that? I fucking love it. They say it more than once in the episode, and I'm like, address the name.
I know.
Anyway, he wants... Breath, pause. He once beat a girl to death with a tire iron. I am not laughing at that.
It's just the segue that I'm laughing at.
This segue is awkward. He once beat a girl to death with a tire iron. A rookie cop contaminated that scene, and the dude got off with 7 years instead of life, which is fucked. The camera goes to Toots to let us in on his former narcotics experience knowledge. He tells them that raves are where you score X, GHB, ketamine,
and meth.
They shot this the same day they shot Toots' grand entrance that was at the end of season 2, episode 1. He's wearing the full red, black, and white tracksuit, do-rag, and chain, and he's standing next to Jeffries, and she's wearing the same top, necklace, and hairstyle.
I didn't notice that.
I see you, NBC. You took me out of it. Same exact. It was the same day. That was Michelle Hurd's last day of work. I mean, I know they shoot things in different order or whatever, but it's like, at least put a different jacket on Toots. He's wearing all black and this like fucking loud ass coat, which was his walk-in, hey SVU, hey fucking 1-6, I'm here.
I did not notice that.
Okay. Back to the case. Several months later, Cragen tells Munch and Toots to talk to Canik. Benson and Stabler then have to go talk to Tito. Jeffries will coordinate from the squad room, and Cragen wants Jill Foster off the streets before she becomes a sex worker or dead. Mm-hmm. So we're in one of the talk rooms. Benson and Stabler walk in and see Tito. He doesn't want to talk to Stabler or, quote unquote, the mall queen.
He was in because he wanted to help, and he's like, dude, it can't be us. Nobody's gonna want to talk to you guys.
Yeah. So this dude has a camera in his bandana that's ridiculously obvious, but it's how he gets video footage of the kids he interviews without them knowing. This bandana cam. Okay, so it's like a bandana that is worn around his head like the fucking Karate Kid. Mm-hmm. And he puts it on, he's like, nobody knows.
And there's like 5 wires hanging out the back of it.
There's a wire that fully runs down his back, and he puts the actual device that is recording and like catching the video in his pocket. It's the size of a sandwich Marine made for Stabler. It is gigantic.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes.
So...
That thing has so many tomatoes on it.
And there's a separate battery pack that he's got like taped up. That's, yeah. I mean,
it's so obvious.
The technology is,
yeah.
Bloop, 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 bloop. It's insane.
Yeah.
And they're like, whoa.
Yeah.
Just the way he put it on, like a fucking spelunker's helmet. Like, nobody knows I'm wearing a camera.
Yeah, they do.
You look like a biker with a fucking GoPro on.
I feel like that's less obvious than what he had going on.
He puts on a giant helmet, and it's just one fucking camera. It's like a round lens. It's the size of his face.
So now we're at Rikers Island. Cragen, they're talking to Foster. You know, they're super good buds. Cragen was in his wedding. He's like, why didn't you call me? And he was like, I was embarrassed. Like, you know, I'm getting drugs off the street. My daughter's doing them. And I would do what any parent that has his head up his ass would do. I made it about me and how it made me look.
Yeah.
Which I thought, I was like, that's pretty cool that he said that.
Cragen also throws in that he's alive today because of Foster, because he saved his life in some cop incident. And I'm like, is that Law and Order regular, or are they just throwing that to up the reasons for Cragen to act outside of his duties? I'm not sure. I didn't look into it.
I didn't either.
So if you're a Law and Order regular, then like let us know.
Yeah.
Just or don't. I don't really care.
Well, now I kind of care.
Do you? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Now I'm interested. Yeah. Ghost stories and Cragen's past. I want to know the number of the plane that his wife crashed. God, that's so wild. Okay.
Oh my God. What if it was the beginning of Lost and she's been alive this whole time?
No!
Oh, wait, no, weren't they dead? I don't know. The last season of Lost was some bullshit.
Yeah, they were dead. Ugh. Cragen's like, hey, did you in any way abuse your daughter? And Foster's like, I never touched her physically, but I didn't respect her. Like, I called her loser junkie and stuff. That's abuse, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was a surprising revelation for me to hear from 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, him recognize that.
Yeah. Cragen's like, I'm going to call Cabot, my DA, whatever, and see if she can help you. Foster's like, this isn't about me. I don't care what happens to me. This is about Jill. And he's just begging Cragen to find her. Munch and Toots are at Stanton Apartments. They wake up this doorman that's sleeping on a couch. They're looking for Kanik, and that's where his address is.
He looks like a tall lawn gnome in a doorman outfit.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, he doesn't live here. Munch flashes a badge, and the doorman kind of is like, ugh, and gets up. So Kanik doesn't live there, but he rents one of the extra mailboxes. And then there's always some dudes there that pick up his mail for him. All the doorman knows is that Kanik drives a dark green Excursion SVU.
I knew it. SUV.
Damn it.
I know. I was like,
I can't do that even in real.
Whoever does this is going to say the wrong thing. And the fact that he said SUV, I was like,
how many takes did it take?
I was making sure he said it right because
Yeah.
my brain just can't compute.
I know.
Can't flip those letters. And he doesn't know the license plate. Munch goes, yeah, what's the license plate? He's like, yeah, it's one of my hobbies, remembering license plates. I'm like,
Yeah.
And Munch gives him shit, and it's like, are you mad that you didn't think of that joke?
Yeah,
That's
I mean, come on.
Munch.
Yeah. Then the doorman, he just opened Kanik's mailbox, which I don't think is legal.
I don't think it is.
And then Toots goes through it, and then I'm like, I don't think that's legal either.
I don't think any of it is.
I don't
it
think any
doesn't
of it is
seem legal. Here,
Yeah.
go through his mail.
I'd be pissed if, like, I just saw my doorman just be like, here. He didn't even say anything or think it was weird or pause or anything. He was just like, here, I'll show you the mailbox. In Kanik's mailbox, there's a bank statement from the Cayman Islands.
Yeah.
So he's
So
doing
what's happening
business. Yeah. So now we're at the park. Benson is canvassing the park and whatever.
She's talking to a snow cone vendor.
Yeah. The snow cone stand guy recognizes the picture of Jill Foster and says he had seen her yesterday with a group of street kids and points her to a pile of like street teens over in an area.
Yeah. Tito's talking to them until Benson and Stabler walk up to the group of kids.
Yeah. And you hear kids like kind of scatter and they're like, cops.
And Tito just looks at him with his giant bandana cam and he's like, dude, you guys look like fucking cops.
Yeah. Oh, Benson finds a rave invite on the ground for that rain light fucking whatever. Tomorrow night, 10 p.m.
This is where Tito is like super crucial to this investigation and gives them a mess of information because this is like standard for rave invites in the 90s because they're like, there's no address. And he's like, yeah, you call this 800 number to get the address to find out the day of the party.
Yeah. That Kenneth guy will be there. He likes to barter X for sex. They call X now Molly, don't they?
Both.
Oh, okay.
MDMA is like the drug of like what's in ecstasy, and then it's cut up with a bunch of different shit. That's why I never did it because I was afraid of like rat poison and whatever being in it.
I did ecstasy like 3 times.
You did?
Yeah. And I always got like a headache in the same spot. One time I did it and I snorted it. I like shot up and was like running around and like freaking out. And I was like, I'm never doing that shit again. It must have been cut with like cocaine maybe. Because that's what I assume cocaine does, but I've never done cocaine.
No, they're not gonna cut. Because that's the thing the big thing that kept me away from ecstasy was people said that they would put heroin in it. They're not going to waste other drugs in
Maybe
a drug.
meth?
They're going to stomp on it. No, they're going to stomp on it with like baby laxatives and fucking baby formula, like that kind of stuff. They're not going to put other drugs in it.
Oh, okay.
You know what
yeah.
I mean?
I don't
So,
know.
like,
Whatever it did, I just like shot up and like lost my mind and was like, I couldn't calm down for like a while. It was like freaking out. It was crazy. And I was like, I'm never doing
weird.
that shit ever again.
yeah, that was one of the drugs that I was like, I'll never do that. That and heroin. I was like, no, I can't.
I did heroin one time.
Are we taking
No.
this out or leaving this in?
I don't know. I think it's fine. I was really drunk and I was like, I don't know, 17 or 18 or something like that. Or 19. I think I might have been 19.
No, I'm sorry. I want to hear this, but you have always given me so much shit about, not so much shit, just like, I always felt like I was the one who did a bunch of drugs. And the more that we talk, the more I'm like, you've done a bunch of drugs.
I didn't shoot up heroin.
I'm not saying you shot it up. I'm just saying you've done, I've never done heroin or ecstasy. And you've done heroin and ecstasy.
But like one time you were into like meth and all that shit and then like coke and stuff.
Don't say it like I'm gross.
I know I said it that weird and I didn't mean it like that actually, but like
It's
anyways,
disgusting. It is disgusting.
somebody offered, or my boyfriend at the time who's dead, and so was his brother.
This is fun.
Yeah, he offered me a little like snort of it. And so I did because I wasn't thinking and I didn't know. And I felt really rad for about 20 seconds. And then I just started barfing up green bile or something. And then I was sick as fuck for like 4 days. I think I maybe almost died.
Ew.
Like,
Yeah, you could have like Mrs. Mia Wallace
I don't even know what that means.
from Pulp Fiction, where she thinks she's snorting fucking John Travolta's coke and it's heroin, and she's like, ugh, and then she goes and she gets the fucking thing in her chest, and it's everybody's Halloween costume for the next 20 years.
Yeah.
I say that like I didn't dress up like her one year for Halloween. I did.
Yeah, it was wild.
Anyway, ecstasy.
Oh, yeah, we got to not go off on these things. Okay.
So Canic's going to be at this rave because he barters X for sex. So he like gives the kids drugs so they like fuck on camera.
Yeah.
Because there's lots of money in barely legal teens.
Or illegal teens.
They said barely legal, and I'm like, if they're talking about 15-year-olds, that's straight up illegal. That's not barely legal.
Yeah.
So Tito walks away from the obvious police he's chatting with to talk to this friend. And Ronnie's hanging out with a group of other teens and is looking at Tito like, hey, do you have a sandwich from a Jewish deli in your pocket?
Right. Is that an entire router in your pocket?
Is that a copy of The Lion King on VHS?
Is that a GameCube in there?
I'm looking around trying to find
I know other
thing.
things that are like, is that a printer?
Is that a travel boggle? Okay. All right, sorry, go
There's
ahead.
got to be some more stuff. Is that a safety deposit box in your... All right. So he gives a picture to Ronnie of Jill, and he's like, I don't know, but he asks his friends if they recognize Jill. And all of a sudden, one random kid kind of stands up and then just books. Like,
my
it was
God.
stupid. It was so funny. I took a picture of it because I was like, what the fuck?
We'll have to, we'll post it.
Yeah.
It was so weird. I'm like, why not just weirdly shake your head like you don't know instead of do the most obvious thing that's going to get you chased?
Yeah, and your friends are never going to hang out with you because you're a fucking narc.
You're either a fucking narc or you're just a dude who cannot keep your fucking cool. You can't stay cool for 10 seconds and be like, I don't know. That's all you needed. You didn't even need to say the words.
Yeah.
You're like,
Ugh,
you're dumb.
Stupid. Yeah. Obviously, Stabler runs after this kid, and the straight up inertia of Stabler's big fat ass propels him, and he catches the kid like right away. Of course.
Stabler's glutes are built like a goddamn stallion. Like, he might not win the Kentucky Derby, but he'd find a respectable place in it.
Yeah. His clapping ass cheeks propelled him forward.
I bet if he donated his body to science after he died, they would find extra butt muscles.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Have we talked about, I mean, because I know that we record earlier than we put stuff out, but we're like just post the Stabler butt appreciation, how it really burned the internet to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Did we
haven't
talk
talked
about that
about
last week?
I don't know, but it was amazing. It was the best week of my life.
I did a wellness check on Gabe.
Yeah, you did. That's right.
I called her. Well, she knew immediately when I was like, hey, how are you doing?
I'm like, you're worried this is going to be the Channing Tatum thing all over again, isn't it?
And I was like, yes. And you're like, no, I'm fine. I almost teetered there, but I'm fine. And I was like, that's so great. You know, I didn't know how you felt about everyone like claiming this. What did you say? You were like, I'm just really happy he's finally being recognized or something. You were just, like, so
His ass
proud.
is finally- I mean, I've been talking about his fucking fat ass for the entire time I've been watching SVU.
Right.
And so it's great that it blew up.
Yeah, it did.
So the kid's like, yeah, I ran because I think this Jill chick is dead. I still don't know why that made him run randomly so hard. It was so weird.
It was so weird.
Yeah. So we're at 385th West and 19th Street. The whole SVU gang is there. Tito too. It's some kind of warehouse. Stabler instructs them to the second floor in the rear. That punk ass narc kid lets them in. It looks like some old abandoned warehouse with tons of mannequins in it.
It was obviously like people were squatting.
Yeah. Munch, Toots, and Stabler find a body of a girl under a pile of mannequin parts.
Okay, so we're in the interview room, and remember this episode is being told by Cragen and apparently SVU detectives. So now it's Stabler in the room being interviewed, and he's telling them that the girl wasn't Jill Foster. They wanted to know why he pulled out all the stops to find Jill. Was it because she was a cop's daughter? And they remind him that there's thousands of kids on the street, and they can't save them all. So why did Jill deserve so much extra attention?
And I'd like to know that too.
It's very valid. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And Stabler says that one runaway connected with Jill was dead and they didn't want another. And I kind of think that's bullshit because I'm sure you guys run into this kind of shit a lot and it doesn't make you go hard. It just doesn't. You've got a whole fucking Wizard of Oz cast of straw men to try to argue your point.
Yeah, for sure. Just like when whoever killed that cop, all cops that have ever been cops were hanging out.
Yeah.
Like, we got to get this done.
And I get it when you're like connected and you're close and you feel close and whatever, but it should not change protocol, and it should not change the way that you do your job and the level of importance that it's at. Like, that's a personal life thing. And if we're going to be professionals and we're going to be these fucking public servants, don't do that.
Yeah.
Anyway, don't do that. So Stabler says that one runaway connected with Joe was dead and they didn't want another. IAB wants to know why that civilian Tito was involved. Stabler said Tito knew the scene and wanted to help. But Stabler had no idea if Cragen cleared Tito to be a confidential informant. So this whole thing, like this whole interview thing, they're painting a lack of protocol here. Mm-hmm. There are things that need to be done that weren't done. So I'm like, this sounds familiar. Oh. Jeffries, is Cragen going to fire himself?
Yeah.
No.
I like how Stabler kept his cool super hard because he's usually like, bah. These two detectives were like, their bellies were like literally touching his face while they were talking over him.
Right over top of him.
Yeah. And he was just looking forward.
He just keeps looking forward answering questions. I'd be like, I can smell your belly button, dude. Gross.
So we're in the ME office. The girl they found is around 14 and had OD'd on, quote, rave drugs, meth, ketamine, X, etc. The ME doesn't usually do MRIs on autopsies, but this girl was abused and he like really wanted a record. So she had scar tissue. Her skull had grown around. Recurring fractures to skull, ribs, arm, and femur. This is so disturbing to the ME that he said as if no one claims her that he'll pay for her funeral. Which I was like, damn. He also says that she was waxed. Like, besides her hair on her head and eyebrows, everything else was completely waxed, which is indicative of kiddie porn, which is super just what happened to you. Cragen and Cabot are in Cragen's apartment, a.k.a. the other side of the glass. Yeah, I know, Diane. That was hilarious. So listen, that narc kid is talking to Jeffries behind the glass. He said some dude gave him and some other kids some money to have sex in front of a camera. He couldn't describe the guy because it was dark in the rave, but knew he was black. But a white guy drove them all to the location where they had sex. Mm-hmm. So he was doing X in the back and didn't get a look at him either. And the dead girl that he woke up next to, which I didn't know he woke up next to her.
Right.
That was just another girl that was like partying with them. And Jeffries is like, dude, you're going to be in a lot of trouble if you can't remember anything else. Like, you have to give us more. So he remembers the voice of a girl telling them who to have sex with. And he just keeps going on. He's like, have sex with him, her, him, her, him. And it cuts back to Cragen and Cabot. They're behind the glass and they're like, he's just like irritated because they're getting like nothing from this kid.
Yeah.
Cragen's like, we could charge the creep who gave them the drugs, but they don't really have anyone that they can find to charge. So Cragen's like, maybe we should talk to fucking Jill Foster's brother. Maybe he's got some like a scoop on something. I don't know.
Yeah.
So now they're in another talk room. Jeffries is chatting with Jill's brother. He said that Jill did a lot of drugs and like he felt like he should have said something.
He goes, she'd drop X just to get through dinner. And I'm like, come on, dude. You can't roll and eat dinner with your family. Also, like, if you're an angry teen who's like can't handle getting through dinner, you're not going to sit at the table with your parents. You're not.
No. And then he was like, tweaked. And I'm like, I don't really think that's okay.
That's not what ecstasy is.
Yeah. So at this point, I was like, oh my God, it's the brother maybe? He looks suspicious.
Oh, see, he looked like such an innocent little dummy to me.
Yeah. Well, you find out like immediately that he is. He says Jill likes art and talked about running away to him. He thought she wanted to run away to Disney World because she always talked about wanting to see Dumbo. Have you heard that before? Because I never had.
Yes.
I never had. Because I was like, Dumbo, what's that? We're in the squad room now. It turns out Dumbo is an acronym for Down Under the Manhattan Bridge Overpass. And then I was like, oh, I felt bad for her brother. Then
it's the art district. Jeffries consulted the precinct horse and they did the math.
Oh my God, my friend Kayla, she listens to the podcast. She sent me a text yesterday that was like intercourse, more like interhorse. I know, and I was like, oh my God, how do we not come up with that? And she was like, do better next time. She's funny.
What's her name?
Kayla.
Fuck you, Kayla.
Fuck you, Kayla. So it turns out the dead girl's name is Gina Lang from DC. Toots had notified her parents, and he said that they are really concerned about the cost of shipping the body, and that's it. So they sound like pieces of shit. They cannot find Kanik. There's no license, no address for a residence that he lives at. The only thing he has any ties to is this Rainlight Productions, and they promote non-alcoholic raves. Lame.
Most raves at the time were quote unquote non-alcoholic, but they were chock full of hallucinogenics and ecstasy. So they were promoted as non-alcoholic so that underage people could go to these. And
Right.
anyway, yeah. So the attorney, yeah.
The attorney of Rainlight Productions is Ted Bolger. So he cut Canic's plea deal for the sex worker murder. Remember with the tire iron?
So they're like, it's pretty sus that this lawyer covers such a broad spectrum in his legal practice.
Yeah.
He's filing paperwork, but also reducing murder charges. So they're like,
Yeah.
about this guy.
Yeah. Cragen's pissed. He makes Benson and Stable go to Dumbo, and Munch and Toots go talk to the lawyer.
So we're in Ted Bolger's office. We just see him from behind, sitting at his desk, doing a hard line of coke off of his desk when Toots and Munch walk into his office. And he's like, what are you doing? And he shoves everything into the trash. First of all, it's fucking Daryl Hammond from SNL. All right.
Yep.
I got so excited.
This dude has so much range.
He's. Do you know about his real life?
No.
He was so terribly abused as a kid. Yeah.
I'm gonna Google. Yeah.
Yeah, Google that. Anyway, he's amazing. He's incredible. He does incredibly in this part. He plays this part. He is Ted Bolger. Mm-hmm. So he tells him to get out of his office or he's going to call the police. Well, and in my mind, I thought Toots was going to be like, we are the police.
Yeah, me too.
But instead, Toots immediately puts on a character and Munch hangs by the door and he looks less than comfortable.
Yeah.
And there's this, she doesn't say anything or do anything, but I think she's worth a mention.
Yeah.
Big tittied, big haired blonde lady has her hands on her hips. Like,
'cause she was like,
just busted right in here.
Exactly. Yeah. I couldn't stop him.
She's watching through the door. I feel like fucking Fred Armisen. She's watching. She's just watching. They busted right. I tried to stop them, Ted. I'm going to go back to my desk. Oh, my neck.
These nails aren't going to file themselves.
Her name's Vicky. We don't know, but it is. So Toots walks behind Ted's desk to talk to him, which is a hard power move.
Yeah.
And he asks him his rate. Bolger stands up, so they're almost touching noses.
I'm like, kiss, kiss, kiss.
He wipes his upper lip, like he wipes it in a weird way because like he had just finished doing a line. So like you get kind of like a post-nasal drip thing, but also so he stands up and he's going to wipe his nose and you'd think he would just kind of, do the standard like one of these. Mm-hmm. And he takes all of his fingertips like Mary Catherine Gallagher. Like he wipes down his upper lip with all of his fingertips. It's a bizarre way to do it, but because it's Daryl Hammond, I'm like, I believe in you, and I feel like that was a choice.
Yeah.
And he's got this tone, and it's super croaky, and I love it. And he's like, who are you?
Yeah.
And Toots is like, what's your rate? Like, Toots is doing the Rocky Balboa, like, hard lip up thing to seem tough. He always does that when he's being tough.
Yeah.
He's like, what's your rate? I need the privilege. And he's talking about client attorney privilege here.
Right.
Bolger goes, it's $6 an hour. And their lips are inches from each other.
Just quivering.
Toots pulls out a wad of cash and tosses hundos on his desk one at a time and tells him he's got some business. He hands Bolger a business card that says Finn on it.
Which I thought was adorable.
It was cute.
Yeah.
Toots is obviously undercover. Okay, we didn't know this was happening, but he is.
Yeah. Did he have these cards made for this instant?
The card looked a little rough.
Yeah.
Like, it was not crisp.
No.
He probably used it when he went undercover in narcotics.
Oh,
and he's
sure.
like,
yeah.
I still have this in my wallet.
Yeah, so this whole Finn character is like the John DeMunch of this episode for sure.
Toots asks where Canik is. Bolger goes, I haven't seen him. Who's he? And points at Munch. Mm-hmm. Just like that. Toots is like, that's my Jew. Where's Canik? And Munch is like, eyebrows, sniff, head tilt.
Like, excuse me?
But then he just quietly sits there. He's sitting in a chair now, just watching the show.
Yeah.
Toots says that he has some ladies that want to work for Canik. Toots is playing intimidating very well. And I said this in my notes that he was playing intimidating. Toots is. He's good at this part of his job.
Yeah.
He can like swing his weight around
Yeah.
when he needs to. I feel like he's pretty measured about how and when he pulls his dick out. And I feel like this was a good call.
Yeah, dude, it's motherfucking iced tea, you know? Yeah.
He knows that.
He knows all that stuff.
So Bolger writes down Canik's cell phone number and says, with Canik's line of work, it's better that I don't know where he is. So this is really all I can give you. Toots points at him and still like leaning hard over his desk into his face, says, understand you still owe me 55 more minutes. And he turns to leave, and Munch stands up and just goes, shalom. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, thanks for playing along, Munch. So the guys get outside, and Munch chews out Toots for playing fast and loose and like doing this character and shit. And he's like, this isn't narcotics. And Toots is like, whatever, we got his number. And he's like all full of joy and happiness. He was fucking high on it. He was so excited. But this is just one more not protocol thing. Munch is the only one who didn't actively do something, Munch and Jeffries, who didn't actively do something that wasn't like
Jeffries is the
protocol.
only one, period, that was professional.
Yeah.
But she got fired, so I won't let it go.
We're at a flea market in Dumbo. I love every fucking inch of this scene. Benson's talking to this lady and showing her Jill's photo. And this lady's got tight, ringletty Bernadette Peters hair, but it's like red. So it's more like, who was Tom Cruise married to? Nicole Kidman hair.
Yeah.
But this woman's like really hippy dippy.
Yeah.
And she had just seen Jill like 2 hours ago with the Candy Kids.
Yeah.
So
okay.
Benson needs to ask what Candy Kids are so your aunt watching in her Chaska, Minnesota townhouse can hear the answer.
Yeah.
Tito turns around because he's there and goes, fuzzy clothes, plastic jewelry.
Yeah.
Then a dude carrying a wooden carved horse head profile in a frame. Like he's just carrying a very flea market object. Okay.
Yeah.
This guy looks like a really rough old Nick from New Girl.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah. He's wearing a pleather jacket with the sleeves cut off, but not even on the seam, like hacked off. Like, it's hot. And he fucking scissored them off.
Hello, my future.
Gabe's like facepalm Stabler, and you're like, hey, guy.
No, I meant he is me. I'm
Yeah.
Yeah.
He walks up. He's not a part of the conversation. He just all of a sudden is behind Benson and this lady. Benson goes, do you know where she went? And he goes, they went to Lorna Frankel's loft. All the kids hang there. It's at John and Gold. And then he looks at the curly-haired hippie lady and says, look for the big pig. And she laughs because it's a joke.
I don't know. They had like some kind of inside. I don't know what it meant. Is it because they were cops? I don't know. I didn't even think it.
Look for the big pig.
And she's like, yeah, the big pig. Oh my God. I didn't get that at all. It was like, we missed something.
This guy was almost, not quite, almost as good as the guy who saw the bike messenger
Yeah.
like forever many episodes ago.
Yep.
Like, the guy who's like hurt his elbow. Like that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, she describes Lorna Frankel as Salvador Dali's feminine side with fangs.
Which I
So,
completely disagree with, but whatever.
I also disagree.
Yeah.
She's Sheryl Crow if she's fucking anybody.
Dude, don't make fun of Sheryl Crow.
What? I didn't think I was. Why?
I like Sheryl Crow a lot.
Oh, you said it with some real conviction, and I'm like, oh my God, did I just put my foot in my mouth or something?
No.
It's just that you like Sheryl Crow?
Yeah, I was like, don't compare her to this fucking stupid bitch.
She's like painting on the walls. Whatever.
Munch, Toots, and Tito were in fucking Frankel's loft. Crappy electronic music is playing. It's not rave music. It's like the Muzak, the elevator type fucking
Yes.
rave music.
Boom, tss, boom, tss, boo, tss, it's computer
Yeah.
fucking.
And there's a bunch of like 40-year-olds like supposed to be teenagers like painting themselves and doing drugs or whatever.
Yeah.
They're just like lounging around and fucking being stupid. All these kids look like TV's version of Candy Rave Kids. Like it's not
Yes.
even. It's really bad actually. So Tito and his fucking bandana cam are talking to kids he knows, and Munch and Toots walk in some door and see this chick painting on a wall.
She's probably mid 40s, and she's supposed to be portraying this cool artsy type. I'm
Yeah.
gonna double down on the Sheryl Crow of it because
I mean, yeah.
that's who I see now
When you look at her, not like,
not her vibe. Her vibe is
Frankel
like,
isn't creating anything good. Sheryl Crow at least creates things well,
okay.
right? I mean, she got famous. This chick is
she's
just
like,
stupid.
She's like, I live in the art district and fucking live in a warehouse and I'm cool and different, but also put a fucking blazer on her and she's a goddamn real estate agent. Like this woman
Yeah.
is whatever.
Yeah, I bet you she's in a shit ton of episodes and we never knew it. She's irritated because she's like, dude, when I asked the agency for men who defined the city, did they think I meant Orlando, but ching. That was funny. She said that. Yeah. She tells Munch and Toots, she's like, whatever, just take off your clothes and arrange yourselves on the sofa.
Right. She thinks they're models, but little does she know that Munch's junk has hung on an art gallery wall already.
Oh, that's right.
So he kind of is.
Non-consensually hung on.
Yeah.
They're like, no, we're not doing that. And she's like, I don't know who all these kids are. They just wander in. They show her a pic of Jill Foster, but then Tito finds out that Jill left like an hour ago. Toots is annoyed, and he's like, everybody get up, empty your pockets, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, this is America, blah, blah, blah. So Benson and Stabler roll up on Kennick's car. They tell him to get out. He was traced by his cell phone, which is super fancy. New technology.
Yeah. The detectives open the door to the back seat, and he and Benson tough guy the shit out of each other. And I love whenever Benson's voice goes up an octave when she's talking to a cocky perp. She's like, where do you live? If you can't tell us, we can provide you with an address.
Yeah.
Like, it's a sassy way of threatening to put him in jail, you know?
Yeah. That guy looks familiar.
He does look familiar.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Kennick is super tall in a full black leather suit with a silky purple button up underneath. And you guessed it, it's super unbuttoned with a chain underneath. He also has a Jake from State Farm earpiece in.
Yeah, he does. So Stabler takes off this dude's fucking earpiece and he's like, look, there's 39,000 of us. If anything happens to Jill, they'll all want a piece of you. And I wish they had that same fucking steam for everybody. Like, this is bullshit, you know? Benson gives him her card and says to call if he runs into her, which obviously he's never going to do. Now we're at the precinct. Munch and Toots bring all these fucking kids in and they're like causing an early 2000s scene. So we know it's lame.
Yeah, the kids that were at Lorna Frankel's loft.
Yeah, they're like, hey, piggies. And I was like, oh my God, I hate you. And I hate that none of you have back pockets. Like, I hate that shit. I hate that shit. I hated that shit then, too. The back pocket things. Ugh, okay.
When did we have back pockets?
What?
I always wore giant pants.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I had pockets that I could put my whole arm in.
Yeah. Where you couldn't reach the stuff to get it out.
Yeah.
That's the kind of pockets. Yeah. It was like the early 2000s where people wore like jeans with no pockets. Like, remember.
Like the girls?
Yeah. Cragen's like, what's going on? Why didn't you interview these fucking kids? Like, where you guys were? And he was like, dude, they were taking cues from Frankel. They needed to be separated. They're going to scare these kids into telling them where Jill is.
One of the kids told him in the car that there's a rave that night that she's supposed to be at.
Yeah. And then fucking Ted the lawyer Bolger shows up.
Yeah.
So Toots can't really show his face because he was like undercover and Cragen didn't know about that and that's how he finds out. And Bolger, they're like, how did he get here so fast? And it was like, because Frankel called him, so she's connected to all this stuff too. So he's the attorney for all the kids.
He's a strange common thread that the SVU is clocking now. Jeffries then brings Tito to the other side of the glass into Cragen's office.
Yeah.
Cragen wants to make sure that Tito is going to be okay and Kennick doesn't find out that he's helping the SVU because Tito's like, oh yeah, if he finds out, he'll like kill me for sure. Even though he's walking around the city with two obvious cops questioning street kids with the first ever battery operated recording device strapped to him like a fucking Ghostbusters proton pack. Yeah, he's going to find out because of this. Anyway.
So Cragen goes on the other side of the glass with all the kids and the lawyer, and you can see he's mad because he's like staring back at the glass, like where the other cops are, and he's just got like hate in his eyes. He has to let the kids go, but Bolger is like kind of being a dweeb about it, you know, like making him look stupid.
Oh, it was great because he grandstands about their rights, and Cragen goes, we're looking for a missing minor. And Daryl Hammond's SNL Clinton comes out in this line, and he goes, I don't care if you're looking for Osama bin Laden. This is still America. That was terrible.
It was good.
Cragen busts back into the behind the glass with Munch and Toots and hard scolds both of them. He's like, you guys are going secretly undercover? You're out of control. There's too much at stake here for them to fuck this shit up. And he's going to fuck them up if it compromises his investigation.
I'll hold you personally responsible. Blah, 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 blah. So cut back to the interview in the future. They're questioning Benson now, IAB or whatever. They want to know who authorized the undercover op.
And she goes, at the rave? And I go,
yeah, because it's happening. We're going to see her and her rave stuff.
oh, God.
She's like, I don't know. I was just told to do it by Cragen, but he wouldn't have approved it if it wasn't legit. They ask her if she's trying to cover for Cragen, and she's like, are you trying to fucking blast Cragen? Like, what do you want?
Yeah.
So Benson's pretty sure that everything was legit and that if there were any flaws in their tactics, it was because there are some things that you can't foresee.
Yeah, she plays it really fucking cool. She's so cool. Okay, now here we are. We're at a rave, everybody. party. Loud ass EDM, glow sticks, strobe lights. Everyone's partying and like fucking making out.
It's not even like real. Okay, yeah. The music, it's just, yeah.
No, the music again is like
beep boop bop boop boop beep boop boop boop
booms,
boop,
booms,
bop,
booms,
beep, boop,
dancing,
beep, like
dancing,
that.
bing, bing,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Everybody's like dancing super hard and rolling their dicks off. And Benson and Jeffries show up in their undercover rave gear. Okay.
Oh my God, yeah.
They both have spaghetti strap baby tanks on with like a bunch of jewelry. Not enough. Like it's a bunch of jewelry, but it's not enough because I had a gallon Ziploc bag of plastic bracelets.
Yeah.
And like that's not an exaggeration. Like
I know.
it was a literal gallon Ziploc packed full with disgusting plastic cheap ass shit.
Yeah.
Benson has a pacifier around her neck because
God.
of infantilism and drugs, which was like huge in the rave
Yeah.
world. And like club kids and everything, that was a huge part of like all of that,
Yeah.
like drug culture. They both have really fucking cute, colorful extensions clipped throughout their hair. They're not old like IRL, but the way they're undercover makes them look fucking 45.
Yeah. They do not look like they belong there.
No. I don't care what you're wearing. You look out of place. Like,
Yeah.
We also get to see their fat pants at the end of the scene, so we'll get there. I'm not, at this point, we just see them waist up. But they are cover models for middle-aged Delias.
Yes.
I'm showing my age super hard, but I love both of their hair and outfits. Like, I loved everything that they were doing.
Yeah.
Everything that they were doing was like my 1999 year 2000 fantasy.
Yeah. They look
Like, they were living it.
Yeah. What I fucking love is Stabler and his outfit, because he's literally wearing the same shit he wore to the beach when he picked up fucking his daughter. Like a fucking tank top with an open Hawaiian shirt. I don't even know.
Legit, it was a denim button-up with the sleeves rolled up and his man tank.
The second his toe stepped through the door, kids should have been just scattering.
We didn't get to see his waist down, but Gabe's like, I'm clocking your New Balances from like...
Yeah. Cargo shorts. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mentally redressed him in that same tank, but with like Soup's low-rise cargo fat pants, painted nails, a pile of plastic bead chokers, and like a Skeet Ulrich bucket hat.
Yeah, and the
like, where
yellow
you can't
goggles.
see his eyes. Oh.
Yeah.
As I was typing like my rundown of what I would change him into to like kind of fit in better, I was like, ooh. It's that thing where your brain gets stuck in a certain time period. Like that vibe for me. I'd be like, oh my God, get it.
Yeah.
Those stupid fucking Jenkos, get it.
Oh my God. I wrote a poem called Jenko Dreams when I was like 15 about a kid that was skateboarding and then his fucking Jenkos got caught and the kid died and there was like blood running through his eyes. I'll have to read it to you.
Oh my God, this is gonna, do you still have it?
Oh yeah, I have all my little journals somewhere.
Oh my God, this is going on the Patreon. I'm making a note of this.
Puke.
It's gonna be great. It's going to be great. Okay, yeah, hold on. I started this list of like what we can do for people on Patreon. What is it? Jenko Dreams.
Yeah, something like that. I used to write a lot.
I did too, and then the ex that I got a restraining order against stole all of my notebooks
What a puke.
and tried me to not go to court. So I would get them back, but I've already told that story. But anyway, yeah. So like everything I wrote from ages like 13 to how old was I? 21. He took. Anyway, so Toots isn't going to change his clothes for this shit. He's same.
You mean Stabler?
Not Toots.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And Stabes. Like, Stabes is like, I'm not going to wear a suit and tie, but like, this is my casual look. This is as far as I go.
Jeffries and Benson spot fucking Tito. He's not supposed to be there. He's supposed to be laying low.
Yeah.
And they notice that security has like an eye on him. So Jeffries walks over and she confronts him. She's like, hey, Tito. And he's wearing that fucking dumb bandana camera. And she's like, does fucking laying low mean anything to you?
Right.
And he's like, I can take care of myself. And I was like, this dude's gonna fucking die, isn't he?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I thought the same thing. I was like, you're in trouble. He's too confident. Then because it keeps like, it's cutting around this whole thing. It's like cutting around. It's like, then it's cutting around to dancers. And then it's like, cutting around and there's Tito. And then it's cutting.
Yeah.
And then we see fucking Munch. And I'm like, Munch, take off your fucking sunglasses. You can't see where you're going. You don't look cool. What are you doing? Looks like fucking Voldemort up in this fucking bitch.
The Eye of Sauron's come to the party. Oh my God. So then they see that fucking Frankel lady taking pics, and fucking Stabler spots Jill. And this fucking pissed me off so bad. He just yells her name. He's like, Jill. And someone's like, the cops. And people scatter. I was like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, go up to her and grab her by the fucking arm and drag her away.
You've been looking for this girl. You're so fucking close. She's right there. All of a sudden, you don't have any like memory of how to cop in any way.
You guys are undercover.
She's sitting on a couch. She's got her head between her knees, basically. She put her head down. This all would have been over if you had stayed quiet for 2 fucking seconds.
Why was Jeffries and Benson even wearing all this outfit when nobody else fucking went undercover clothing wise? And he's just gonna yell. It was so dumb.
Do you think they had fun getting ready, though? Like, I know that they were like, this is serious and this is like whatever, but their hair was so fun. And they both had like cute glitter makeup on and like, you know, those like glitter roller things, highlighter, whatever, probably like all over their fucking faces and collarbones and shit. This is a fucking look. You look amazing. And they're taking selfies.
Maybe they didn't have to go undercover, but they chose to.
Yeah, they were like,
they didn't have to change their outfits, but they were like, let's do it.
Let's do it. It'll be fun.
As long as we're on time, let's do it.
Let's like make it fun.
Yeah.
It's really hard to have a good time at our job, and like these are those rare moments that we can.
Yeah.
We like dance for a little bit.
Stabler tries to follow Jill.
Yeah. So then it cuts again back over by Frankel and her photo shoot.
Yeah. She's taking pictures of these like 2 dudes trying to like rape this girl, like taking off her clothes, and she's screaming like, get the fuck off me.
Yeah.
And she's like flopping around like a fish, yelling at these guys to let her go while this Frank lady's doing nothing and just taking pictures. Benson fucking is like, hell no. Goes over, flashes her badge, and then we cut to Stabler outside and he spots a gal on the ground, but it's not Jill. I thought it was like Jill that got trampled or something. And he just keeps yelling for her, which is like, just quit.
Yeah, I was like, that worked super great the first time, so just keep yelling Jill outside. He's like, Jill!
Yeah.
Oh, Jill.
Are you talking to me? Oh, yeah, sorry, I didn't.
I thought you said Phil. He left.
Everybody, it's fine. Go back to the party.
They need to talk to me. I'm a runaway. My dad's in prison.
And then Munch and Toots kind of stop kids from leaving. Jeffries takes Frankel's camera, and Benson and her fat pants bought at PacSun are rounding up kids up against the wall.
And when I saw them, I was like 100% accurate. Those are PacSun pants. Jeffries' pants are 100% Hot Topic, though.
100%. I was just going to say,
you.
Jeffries was like, this was like a different style of fat pants. It was like the kind of the gothy.
Yeah. That
sort of fat pants.
She went the goth kid route, but not for the top half. Like she was kind of like she was more eclectic, but the pants were not something that I would probably have worn.
I didn't wear those either. I wore like the jean ones, but they're like black with like neon strappy things flopping around,
just hanging all over the place. Like I had strappy things hanging all over on a bunch of shit, but I didn't. I never did like a neon, and I rarely did like a black pant.
I could see you doing like a plaid.
Oh, fuck yeah. We're in the interrogation room. Cabot rolls in.
Like a boss, as per usual.
Right. Fucking Lorna Frankel is leaning against the wall and wants her phone call.
The way she said that, too.
Yeah, she was being like an art district Karen now. Mm-hmm. So then, like one by one, Benson and Stabler, Munch and Toots walk in, each with a box of files, photos of minors having sex, a legit wax strip with Gina Lang's DNA on it. Gina Lang is the girl that was found dead under the mannequins. And they have all this fucking info on her, all the shit that they found at her loft. Frankel was a porn star known as Layla Cream Cheese.
I'm surprised you got that far into it without laughing. Layla Cream Cheese in 1979.
Who fucking wrote that? Oh, it's so
porn
good.
Star known as Layla Cream Cheese. This is where Jeremy Wolf just pops in. He's eating a sandwich. He's coming in at script writing at the last minute, and he's like, oh, Layla Cream Cheese. Like, they're like, whatever, put it in. That's the only contribution he made. Layla Cream Cheese.
Right, guys? They're like, yeah.
He was just saying things that were around.
Veronica VCR.
Elaine Envelope.
Betty Box of Donuts.
Sally Soup Can.
Wendy Window.
Fiona Fish Oil.
Tanya, 2 guys in trench coats. Okay.
Did you hear, there was this meme today that was like, America's just 3 corporations in a trench coat.
Oh, that's not funny.
It's because it's true, though. Yeah.
Okay, anyway, also, besides being Layla Cream Cheese, 1983 to 87, she was arrested as a call girl, Louise Francis. It's an insane amount of evidence. Cabot wants 7 consecutive years for each minor in the pics, and man 2 for Gina Lang. That's 715 years. There was a check to her from Canik through Rainlight also. Like, she just, like, lived in a pile of her own evidence.
Why are they pinning her with 715 years when dudes are doing this shit all the time and they get, like, 6 months?
They're trying to scare her into giving more shit up. That's all they're doing.
They could be scaring... Okay, whatever.
Because they don't have him yet. They don't have Canik.
No, I mean, like, just any pedophile they could be doing this with.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they can't even be sure that this stuff would even stick. They can threaten her with it, though.
Yeah.
So they think that the lawyer Bolger is not only the lawyer, but also a partner. If Frankel can prove it to Cabot, she can get out of prison before menopause. Frankel says Bolger is just a lawyer she's supposed to call when she gets in trouble. She tells them that all the files and pics in the boxes point to Canik. And a few times when she was recording, she would turn the camera toward Canik. And she's like, it's dark, but it's there.
He would be, like, coaching the kids and stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
And, like, feeding them drugs.
Jeffrey calls Stabler out of the room. Homicide is calling about Tito.
Oh, my God, no.
I know. Stabler rolls up on a crime scene, and Tito's laying there dead. So right away, we're like, did his bandana cam record this? And this is far from a funny scene, but the recording device is in his cargo pocket, just screaming at me.
I know.
He's laying there. He's laying there in a pool of his own blood on the ground.
He just opens his car. I didn't realize that the thing was so big in his pocket until they pulled it out.
It was that whole thing that he showed them in the beginning, and it looked like a fucking children's jewelry box. He's got it opened up, but it's got like a screen on it and like a whole little, and then there was a separate fucking battery pack attached to that. It's insane, the huge thing. And then he just puts it in his cargo pocket. It's ridiculous. It's insane, this fucking recorder.
So he's lying in a pool of his own blood, and they take out his GameCube from his pocket. It is that big, though.
It was huge. Two people cut his pocket open and lift it out. It's a 2-person lift.
It's a 2, yeah.
Okay.
Definitely with their knees, their legs, I mean. Lifting, because it's better for your back. Oh, sorry.
We're in the squad room now, and they've got a TV hooked up to Tito's bandana cam, and they're all watching it. Tito is talking to Jill, and she's super upset that her dad's in jail. She's like, it's my fault, and she can't fix it because she's embarrassed because she took photos and was on video doing shit for fucking Lorna, and she's scared that her dad will see them. Tito reassures her that nobody in SVU is going to show her dad the pics, and that her family really misses her, and he's really trying to get her to, like, you know, turn herself in or whatever. And she's too scared. And she's like, I've got a place. It's creepy, but it keeps a roof over my head. All of a sudden we hear this gunshot. Jill screams and runs away, and Tito goes down. And then you just see Canik's face lean down, looking obviously at Tito, but obviously into camera.
Yeah.
And he says some shit about, like, bringing cops to his rave, and he taps Tito on the face, and he's like, cold yet? He knows that he's dead. This guy is cold-blooded, just fucking walks away, and you see this blood start to pool.
Yeah.
The cinematography with the blood entering the screen was some Sundance shit. Right?
Please.
It was like, no, I don't mean for real. I mean, that's what they were going for.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They were.
It was going to, like, say Finn across the screen, across the black and white screen. And then Toots was going to be like,
It's me too.
But no, yeah. So Tito's fucking dead. And it was 100% Canik. And we all saw it, and we all know it.
Right. So now we cut to the future again. Cabot's being interviewed by IAB. She's all business as per usual. She's like, sure, I'll talk to you, but you have, like, no legal right to make me talk. And they're like, we know, lady. Anyways, so she says that the morale in the unit was upset because of Tito, obviously. They asked her what Cragen's state of mind was at that moment. And she's like, I'm not going to fucking speak for another person's state of mind. Ask him yourself. And I was like, They ask her if she thinks that Cragen's friendship with Jill Foster's dad put undue pressure on her. And she's like, Cragen made it clear his intentions, but if you think that I can't act independently, then I think you're fucking wrong.
Do you motherfuckers know who you're talking to?
Yeah. They ask her if she thinks that the investigation was handled poorly. Cabot's like, dude, fucking SVU acted totally professionally. They're like, an informant is dead, and you have no opinion on that? And Cabot fires back, if you're looking for someone to denigrate Captain Cragen or the unit, find someone else.
Boom. So now we're in the interrogation room. Stabler and Cabot have Canik in there.
Stabler's like shoving his fat ass around as alpha male. So Canik's like, where's my lawyer? His ass is too big.
They play the tape of him killing Tito from Tito's bandana cam.
Yeah.
His bandana cam. While the tape is running and Canik is realizing they have a video of him killing Tito, Cabot is fucking living. Okay. Cabot says that he's going to get the death penalty and makes some fun remarks that a bleeding heart will call to ask for mercy for him an hour before his execution, and she intends to answer that call. Canik's like, what can you do for me? And she's like, I can't talk to you because you asked for a lawyer. So now he's going to waive his Miranda rights because he wants this shit just taken care of. She wants evidence that the lawyer Bolger is not only his lawyer, but also a partner. And she'll make sure that he gets life without parole instead of the death penalty if he cooperates. He's like, I want man 1, I'll do 15, and you get Bolger and Jill. Like, we'll give you the girl. And Cabot's like, no.
Yeah.
So he says without the deal, he won't give up the girl. And she's like, too fucking bad. Figure it out. You got 10 minutes.
Yep.
Stabler is cartoonishly biting his nails like he's eating an ear of corn because he's so nervous about this stand-up. He's like... And I'm like, don't worry about it, honey. Cabot's balls are not only fucking huge, they're also crystal. She knows that she's got the upper hand here.
Damn.
Get it? Crystal balls.
So we're in the squad room. Cragen's fucking pissed. He's like, this is a cop's child. And the DA's made a worse deal before. What does that mean?
The DA has made worse deals before. Like, he wants...
Oh, yeah.
He wants man 1, and she's, like, hard saying no. And he's like, come on, it's a cop's kid.
Right. So SVU is like weirdly wanting her to make the deal. She doesn't want to because he's going to kill again and again.
Cabot and I are super annoyed and mad that they're subtly threatening her. Like, hey, girl, this is a cop's daughter. You work with cops. You don't do this, and your job will be way harder. And I didn't include Gabe in being upset about it with us because she's off somewhere setting a car on fire.
She's like, this is the law. Like, he's going to keep doing stuff, you know?
Cabot is the type A-eist type that's ever A'd.
Yeah.
She follows the letter, right?
Yeah. And so then Cragen's like, dude, Alex, Miss Cabot, we can save a life today, not prevent some hypothetical murder in the future. She needs our help. Cabot's like, harumph, and leaves. Munch and Toots do a quick walk and talk, and it sounds like Toots wants to hit up Canik for more info, and Munch doesn't want to.
Munch wrestles with it for a second, then he's just like, okay, I'll drive. And they tell the unis who are about to take Canik that they're going to do it.
Yeah, Munch was like, dude, we don't do this stuff anymore. We don't like rough dudes up, you know? Anyways, they get Canik, who is like fucking 6'5",
yeah,
by the way, into the car, and then Toots slams his head down on the roof of the car. Like, so they're doing it. They're going to tune this guy up.
Okay, these last few scenes are going back and forth super quick from future interviews to actual story.
Yeah. So cut to the interview with IAB with Toots. Toots says that on the way to central booking, Canik volunteered the info about Jill's whereabouts, and we all know that's bullshit. They roughed him up.
Yeah.
Or he roughed him up, not much, but he was the driver. They're like, oh yeah, sure, you tuned him up. And then, because Canik complained about brutality, and Toots is like, this dude's a liar. It's like, who are you going to believe? And that shit is so problematic to me, because it's like that police, like, are you gonna believe me or a guy that sucks? And it's like, you know, a guy that sucks can also be tuned up by the cops, you know?
We mention this regularly, but this is just another example of TV glorifying overreaching of power, and it's not cute.
It's not. Yeah. So then we cut back to Canik getting out of the car. Toots pulls him out to central booking. Munch calls Cabot and tells him that Canik gave them Jill's info, volunteered it, quote unquote, and tells Cabot she can get her warrant now.
And you can tell by Munch's face that he does not like the situation at all, but we don't get to see Canik's face, so we don't know 100%. It's like...
we just know he was fucked up by the future interview,
Yeah, it's like, whose word are we gonna believe too?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So now we cut back to the IAB interview with Toots again, and he starts telling them, when I was working in narcotics, nobody counted. There were no good guys. And then he goes on to say, since he started in SVU, he's started seeing real actual victims, and that the SVU are the good guys. And he's like, real victims, okay. He sounded like Mr. Garrison to me, just for like just the quickest second, and I laughed so fucking hard. I'm gonna cut that out because you didn't laugh at all.
Sorry.
It's not your fault.
Cut back to Benson and Stabler. They're obviously followed Canuck's whereabouts of Jill, and they have like flashlights. They're looking around this like dark warehouse room, and they're calling Jill's name, and they find Jill behind a bunch of boxes, and it looks like she OD'd on heroin. She had like something hanging out of her arm.
Yeah.
They call an ambulance, but there's no pulse. So then we cut back again to the future to Toots' interview with IAB, and he's pissed, and he's like, I'll do whatever I gotta do to save a fucking kid from a perv like Canuck. And they accused him of, tuning up Canuck, and Toots screams,
I'm sorry, I'm not even listening to you talking right now, because since you said Back to the Future, I've been trying to come up with a Back to the Future joke, and then after it went too long, I was beating myself up over not being able to think of a Back to the Future joke, and then I didn't know where we were.
Okay. So yeah, they accused him of kicking the crap out of Canuck for the information, and then Toots screams, he's like, Jill's dead because of Canuck, and I want to fucking see my union delegate.
So now we go to Cragen's office. This is not interview time. This is actual storyline time again.
Yes.
So Munch is knocking on Cragen's office door, and he says to Cragen, he's here. So Cragen goes to an interrogation room or talking room or whatever at the precinct, and Sergeant Foster is in there. There's no audio. We're like outside of the room, but you can tell that it's Cragen telling Foster that his daughter Jill is dead.
Yeah, he like puts his little hand, his little paw on Foster's arm.
Okay, Back to the Future.
Back to the Future, Cragen's interview. Cragen's upset, and he's like, I'll take fucking full responsibility for the action of any of the SVU detectives. Cragen's like, all you care about is Canuck, like a living sack of crap. And they're like, dude, he has rights too, which he does.
Yeah. And then Cragen jumped in his DeLorean, and he's like, gun it to 88. I needed something. So fucking stupid. Okay, so club kids and rave kids were different in a lot of ways, but the club kids were definitely an influence on rave culture. So we're going to talk about the most notorious crime of the entire scene, the murder of Andre Angel Melendez.
I don't know hardly anything about this.
Really?
Yeah, I don't.
Okay, so Michael Alig was born in South Bend, Indiana. He moved to New York City in 1984. After dropping out of school from the Fashion Institute of Technology, Alig began working as a busboy at the club Danceteria. Mm-hmm. He was drawn to party promoting and the club scene, so he began hosting small events in 1987. He wanted to make a name for himself, and when people called the New York City club scene dead after the death of Andy Warhol that same year, Alig was like, I've got this.
Okay.
The movie Party Monster really paints the picture that he jumped onto James St. James's coattails a bit. Have you watched Party Monster?
Yeah, but like one time when it came out.
Oh my God. It's fucking iconic. I love that movie. It's based off of the book Disco Bloodbath by James St. James. Mm-hmm. Basically, James St. James was a mentor to Alig, and Alig took on St. James's over-the-top look and persona and took it to the next level. Like, he was a very creative, really smart promoter, but they also had like this, there was always this contention. So at one point in his life, Alig said that he was diagnosed with histrionic personality disorder. Now, histrionic personality disorder, or HPD, is defined by the American Psychiatric Association as a personality disorder characterized by a pattern of excessive attention-seeking behaviors, usually beginning in early childhood, including inappropriate seduction and an excessive desire for approval. People diagnosed with the disorder are said to be lively, dramatic, vivacious, enthusiastic, and flirtatious. He claims that the doctor told him he was the most extreme case he had ever seen. I cannot say that with certainty, but that doesn't sound like something a psychiatrist would tell a patient with HSD.
Yeah.
Like, you win at your disorder. Like, you want to hear. You know what I mean? Like, he also would be the type of person to exaggerate something or say something for shock value.
Right. Yeah. I can't see that either.
Yeah. So Alig credits his HSD as something that, quote, worked well for his job, which is true. He spearheaded the national recognition for the club kids. Like, he propelled that scene forward and was a huge reason why the whole country knew about club kids in New York.
Yeah.
In an interview, Alig described how the whole idea of the scene started. He said, quote, we were all going to become Warhol superstars and move into the factory, which was the name of Warhol's studio. Mm-hmm. The funny thing was that everybody had the same idea, not to dress up, but to make fun of people who dressed up. We changed our names like they did, and we dressed up in outrageously crazy outfits in order to be a satire of them. Only we ended up becoming what we were satirizing. I'm going to post some of the looks when we put this episode out, but everything was over the top, artistic, creative, and homemade.
Yeah.
And it also had like a vibe of gender fluidity and intense self-expression. So they were like walking art
Yeah.
To quote James St. James again, the aesthetic was part drag, part clown, part infantilism. So Alig would throw what were known as outlaw parties, where this wildly dressed group would famously take over a Burger King, Dunkin' Donuts, like a random deserted residence or Subway or something. Like a huge group would pile in on unsuspecting people, crank music on a boombox, and dance until they got kicked out or chased down by police.
Yeah.
Then they would take that party over to one of the clubs that Alig promoted at. All the clubs that he promoted at were owned by Peter Gatien. So Alig worked under Gatien. Starting out at the Limelight in 1988, he eventually hosted parties at Gatien's other clubs, Club USA, the Palladium, and Tunnel. These parties would have in-your-face theme, always far from PC, always intended to shock and spark controversy. Alig was very that. They were such a staple of New York City nightlife that the club kids even guested on many national daytime talk shows. Donahue, Geraldo, Joan Rivers. Like, you can fucking YouTube that shit, too.
Yeah.
Alig was just an expert in self-promotion, just naturally good at it. As the years went on, his behavior kind of went from what his friends described as a bratty, shocking attention seeker to a drugged-out boundary crosser. He was infamous for peeing on people from the upper level at the Limelight, as well as peeing into people's drinks.
Jeez.
He would throw $100 bills on the floor of the club just to watch people scramble for them. He had zero regard for anyone. He would, without warning, stage dive and crash into people, just knocking them to the ground. Like, zero intention of being caught.
Yeah.
In 1991, Village Voice columnist Michael Musto, who had been tasked with following and reporting on the club kid scene, wrote of Alig, quote, "The bad seed in cha-cha heels. Alig will do anything to get a response, even if that response is the deafening sound that accompanies projectile vomiting. He's an arrested child who should be arrested. A cute little dolly that ends up biting your head off."
Crazy.
Also, the scene started off drug-free, like not necessarily straight edge, but they weren't a part of...
They weren't like known
the
for it. Yeah.
It wasn't a focus. Like, the focus was like the art and the freedom and the community and all of that. Eventually, drugs made their way into the forefront of the scene, and especially in Michael Alig's life. So that's where Andre Angel Melendez comes in. He was also an integral part of the scene. He also worked for Gatien at the Limelight, and part of this included selling drugs. Angel, along with others, was one of the well-known club kids, and he wore these trademark angel wings. Okay, like, it was always something different, like a different outfit. He often dressed very like leather daddy, village people biker sort of, but always with big wings on.
Yeah.
It's reported that Alig kind of created him as a sort of cocktail server, but with drugs for club guests. This made Angel the go-to dealer for some of the hippest users in the scene. Okay. This, of course, put Alig in a position where he felt like he could ask to be fronted whatever he wanted, which, as I'm sure you can imagine, racked up an insane debt. Okay. Throughout the course of his employment with Peter Gatien, Michael Alig had many stints in rehab, and he always came out to relapse. Well, in 96, he came out to no job with Gatien, no income. Like, there was a padlock on the fucking Limelight. The feds had shut it down after finding out that Gatien was allowing drugs to be sold on the premises. This means Angel was out of a job too, so he moved in with Alig. Then on the night of March 17th, 1996, in Alig's apartment, as Angel attempted to collect some of Alig's debt, which was fucking huge, the two began fighting. At some point, friend and roommate Robert Riggs, better known as Freeze, he came out to find Angel overpowering Alig. Okay. When Alig yelled for Freeze to help him, Freeze grabbed a hammer and hit Angel 3 times over the head. Alig then wrapped his fist in a sweatshirt and struck Angel repeatedly until Angel was dead.
Jeez.
Some of these details are disputed because these guys were fully blown out of their minds, like fucked up on so much. I mean, he did a lot of heroin, but it could be any number of drugs. He did like every kind of drug. So this next detail is disputed by Alig, but it's stated as fact in many other accounts, and it's in the movie Party Monster, so it's kind of like solidified as fact to a lot of people. It's said that Alig filled a hypodermic needle with Drano and injected Angel with it. Then poured more of it into Angel's mouth and covered his mouth with duct tape. That part is true.
Whoa.
Keep in mind that these two people, Alig and Freeze, were on like a crazy bender, though. That's not an excuse. It's just a fact. It's like all the fucked up things that they're about to do. seem so fucking sick. And they are sick. They were just so fucked up on drugs. So these guys weren't sure what to do. So they thought that the best choice was to put Angel in the bathtub, fill it with ice, Drano, baking soda, and spray Calvin Klein's Eternity all over.
Okay.
Then they shut the bathroom door. Again, this is disputed. Alig said that this didn't happen, but that they had a party with the bathroom door closed and Angel's in there in the bathtub dead.
Yeah.
Whatever they did, they left him in the bathtub dead for over a week.
Whoa.
There are reports claiming that they said maybe 8 or 9 days. Once they decided they had to do something about it because it began to decompose, Freeze headed to Macy's and bought knives. And when he returned, the two of them proceeded to dismember the body. They wrapped each limb in separate garbage bags and put each one of those in their own duffel bag. The rest of the body, the torso and head, they put into a box. They took a cab to the Hudson River and threw the box in the river. There's an account that I read where Alex said the driver gave them a hand with the box containing Angel's head and torso, but it's hard to tell what he's telling the truth about and what he says for weird attention. So I don't know what was true there. People started noticing that Angel was missing, okay? And Alig would tell anyone who would listen that he killed him. And he would say it so matter-of-factly. And nobody believed him. They just assumed that he was being boundaryless and attempting to shock people for attention. They're like, ooh, you're gross.
Yeah.
But nobody really knew where Angel was anyway. Months went by, and Angel's brother Johnny was putting up missing posters around the city and begging police to open a missing persons case, which they wouldn't do. He then turned to the media for help getting the word out about his brother. So Michael Musto, our columnist of the Village Voice, then released a blind item that got picked up by New York Magazine. It was all about the rumor that Alig and Freeze had murdered Angel because fucking Alig was telling everybody that.
Wasn't Freeze like, dude, shut the fuck up?
I have no idea. There's like very little to find about him. Pretty soon everybody was talking about this article, but it was still just a rumor. Little did anyone know, Angel was already in the hands of the police. By coincidence and the force of a tropical storm, the box containing Angel, which was lined in cork, like randomly, which fucking floats, had washed up on the beach at Miller Field in Staten Island. And it was found by a group of children.
Oh, God.
I know. How fucked up.
Yeah.
Because you know the kids opened the box. Oh, my God. So he was killed mid-March. And so this was in later March or April. Again, there's conflicting reports there. When the box was found. But Angel was misidentified by the coroner as an Asian male. So they weren't lining that up with Angel, this missing person who was Latino.
Yeah.
So he was just marked as a John Doe. After another dismembered body was found in September later that year, the police began to really work on the John Doe they had had since springtime because they were trying to figure out if they were connected, right?
Yeah.
Dental records ID'd Angel on November 2nd, 1996. The rumors were fucking everywhere, so of course Alig fled to New Jersey and hid out in a motel room with his boyfriend until he was tracked down by police and arrested. Then they found Freeze in Manhattan, who confessed immediately. They didn't have a reason to go arrest Alig. He could say that he killed him all day long, all he wanted. There was no evidence. So the prosecution eventually offered them a deal. If they pled guilty to manslaughter, they would serve 10 to 20 years instead of the life sentence that the first-degree murder charge would carry.
Yeah.
Well, because they're thinking that Alig and Freeze are going to be able to testify against Peter Gatien on like drug charges and stuff.
Oh, so they were like, okay, yeah.
So they were like, hey, if you do this, then you can do this. But they ended up not even being able to be witnesses at his trial. Anyway, Gatien ended up, I don't know if it was around this or whatever, but he got deported back to Canada like after this for tax evasion shit. But anyway, in September of 97, both Alig and Freeze pled guilty and were sentenced to the 10 to 20 years. Then the Club Kid group just kind of dissolved in the mid-90s. Rudy Giuliani's quality of life crackdown in Manhattan nightclubs was in like full effect. So everything was just going off in New York. So these guys go to prison, both of them. Freeze was released on parole in 2010. And the last thing I read about him was that he got off parole early. And a 2012 article published by the City University of New York said that he's a research associate with the Bard Prison Initiative, a program offering college coursework and degrees to prisoners in 5 New York prisons. Riggs, that's Freeze, has been accepted to the PhD program in sociology at NYU with a 5-year Henry McCracken Fellowship. So he seemingly turned himself around in prison, but I can't find anything more on him, nothing current.
Yeah.
But Alig was released 4 years later in 2014 after serving 17 years for his crime. He tried to come back as relevant, but was a pariah to so many people. Like, his shock shtick was gross after knowing that he really murdered and dismembered a friend. And although he claimed to be clean after his release, I don't know if that can be proven since he spent so much time in prison and solitary because he kept getting busted with heroin.
Yeah.
Then late on Christmas Eve of 2020, Alig overdosed on heroin and died in his home in Washington Heights.
Oh.
He was 54. And I know, like, addiction is sad, and that's sad. But it's really unfortunate that not only was someone brutally murdered, but that this ended up being the spotlight of the entire club kids scene.
Yeah.
The last thing I have is this quote from one of the big time club kids. His name is Walt Paper. He stated in an interview he said, quote, "I would say a lot of the community felt our experience of the time was hijacked by that party monster narrative. That's not the New York I knew. That narrative doesn't include the creativity, vibrancy, and cultural impact that I experienced."
Yeah.
So, like, it was this incredible, amazing thing that Alig helped build, and he also put the dark cloud over it as well.
Yeah, it got summed up culturally almost as like murder.
Yeah, and when Party Monster came out, like, there was a time that they were supposed to be up for parole, and because someone on the parole board had watched Party Monster, it like had an effect on the ruling, and they ended up not getting released at the time.
Yeah.
But it's super fucked up, and
I'm going to rewatch that because I don't really remember.
it's such a good movie.
Yeah.
It's super fucked up.
That was good.
Thank you. Okay, let's do the wrap up.
Okay. Follow us on all social media at svupod. Email us at svupod@gmail.com. Check out our website, www.svupod.com. Hashtag littlebitloud. If you're a smaller podcast.
Next week, we're doing Season 2, Episode 17, Folly. The beating of a young man uncovers a dangerous male escort service where the boss may have reasons for sending her staff on potentially deadly dates. All right, great. Well, I feel like there was something we missed, but it was just because I wasn't paying attention. Okay, love you, bye.
All right, love you, bye. So Craigan was the Craigan was a pile of hostas. You gotta leave that shit in and she'll love it.
I will.
But don't put that part in, where I just said that.
I know what to do.
Okay. I know what to do. No, I was saying thanks for letting me say it.
No, I loved it. Okay.
I love us. Ugh.
Oh.